G'day, this is Kieran, and today we're going to be cooking up a beautiful hedgehog slice. Easy peasy, doesn't require any baking, and it's from my nan's cookbook. This hedgehog slice from my nan's cookbook doesn't require any baking. Pretty easy to make, and I think it's a pretty tasty one to do. So first of all, let's get the ingredients down. First of all, we're going to need 250 grams of Sweet Biscuits. I've gone with milk arrowroot, the same I use for rum balls. It's a pretty tasty biscuit to go with. Then we've got walnuts. We're going to need 62 grams of walnuts. We're going to chop these up. Raisins, we need 100 grams of raisins. Butter, we're going to go with 125 grams of butter. Sugar, 100 grams of sugar. This is caster sugar. Any sort of good baking sugar will do, but don't go for something too coarse like a raw sugar. You need something that's going to mix in with the butter. 1 egg. Vanilla extract, we're going to be using 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And cocoa, we're going to be using 18 grams of cocoa. Once we've finished this slice, we're going to need to ice the top of it. We're going to be needing 150 grams of icing sugar. We're also going to need a little bit of extra butter. It'll be about 20 grams of butter, but we're going to play it by ear, adding a bit until we get the right consistency. And because it's the Christmas season, a little bit of booze will do. Now the recipe calls for sherry, but I'm going to be using brandy. I don't keep sherry around, and I've been using brandy a fair amount in all this Christmas cooking lately. Our first step will be to add the walnuts and the biscuits into a bag where we can break them down using a rolling pin. We don't want to make it too fine, but at the same time we don't want large pieces of either biscuit or walnut. Just spot check if you see any really large nuts or pieces of biscuit. Over on the stove top, we're going to be adding the butter to a saucepan. And we're going to turn the heat on quite low. I'm going to just be setting mine to 4. That's 4 out of 9, so about halfway up. Once that butter melts, then we'll be adding to it the sugar and the egg. With the butter melted, we're going to be adding in our sugar and our eggs. Well, 1 egg. We're going to be stirring this together rigorously over the heat. Now, importantly, you should not allow this to boil. We're just going to get it nice and incorporated and warm, but we're not going to let it boil. Now, because we added that egg as well, it's really important that we get everything well combined. Otherwise, we're going to have a situation of scrambled eggs and sugar, and that is not nice for anybody. So give it a really rigorous stir over that heat, making sure that the sugar and the butter get incorporated in with that egg mixture, and that way the egg will be doing what we want it to do. With this mixture now heating up and well combined in the saucepan, we're going to be adding in our cocoa and our single teaspoon of vanilla extract. Give that a very good stir to allow it all to get mixed in together. We're going to continue to keep this on the heat all the way up until the point that we see it just beginning to boil. We want to avoid that boiling step. Once our mixture is making a line like so, it's ready. With our butter, sugar, cocoa and egg mixture now finished for their stove time, we're going to be adding in our other ingredients. So we'll be adding in the walnuts and the biscuits and our raisins. With our mixture all thoroughly mixed together, let's add it into a lined baking dish where we're going to allow it to cool fully. All right, so we've got the slice sitting in the fridge at the moment. I had a little special guest that wanted to watch this last stage, so excuse Cora. And we're going to be making up the icing for it, which is a very easy icing. We're going to be chucking in the 150 grams of icing sugar. Cora, hey. Yeah, in it goes. Pay attention. Okay, we're going to put a small amount of cocoa in there as well. It's just to taste. I'm just going to be doing about a teaspoon's worth in there. We're going to be putting in just a small amount of melted butter. That's going to add some moisture to it. But what is also going to be adding some moisture is stuff that someone's too small for at the moment, a little bit of brandy. And that brandy is going to help to bring this together. So I'm going to just put a little bit in and just work in enough to turn it into the right consistency. So I'm using a whisk and we'll slowly bring this together. I'm just adjusting as we go. I'm going to be adding a little bit more butter to this just to bring it together. There we go. Okay, so that is turning into the consistency that we want. All right, now we've got the icing sugar. The next thing to do is to ice our hedgehog slice. So I'm going to bring it out of the fridge. What's this? Oh, this is our slice. So I'm going to take it out of this, put it onto a board, and then using a spatula, get our icing on top and cut it up. Now it's time to ice the top. And applying the icing is as simple as popping it on top and then just spreading it until it's even across your slice. Now this one's actually going to be a fairly thin amount of icing, but that's fine. There's plenty of sugar, plenty of flavour, and really the icing is kind of there to hide the ugliness of the top. But you know, it is a hedgehog slice. It's meant to be a few different bits and pieces on there. Now to slice it, just simply using a sharp knife to get a nice clean cut, and then you can cut it into your desired pieces. So that's my nan's hedgehog slice. It's a bit of fruit in there, biscuity, chocolatey. The icing is really necessary. So don't skip on the icing. I hope you make this yourself. I hope you like and you subscribe along if that's what you're keen on. But yeah, give it a go.